everyone. Welcome to Scope of Color podcast featuring your favorite mental health therapist. My name is Courtney Johnson and I'm an LCSW. And this is...
My name is Philip, and right now I'm a licensed school counselor, and I'm in the process of getting my intern license in mental health.
And I am Tony. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a national certified counselor.
Hi, my name is Daryl. I am a social worker that specializes in mental health and substance abuse, and I am also a registered clinical social worker intern.
Okay, and today we're going to talk about HBCUs, or historically black colleges and universities, versus PWIs, which are predominantly white institutions for people of color. So all of us went to PWIs except Tony. So Tony. Oh, excuse me. So Tony got her undergrad at an HBCU. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience?
Yep. So I went to the lovely Johnson C. Smith University that's in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Charlotte, I went to undergrad in 2007, and I majored in communication arts. Honestly, when I first applied to the school, I really didn't know much about what an HBCU was. I know I kept hearing the term like, oh, you go to an HBCU or you go to Smith, like that's good. And then I would hear about the other HBCUs like North Carolina A&T and other schools like that, but it still really didn't dawn on me. I know I went to a university and there were a lot of people who looked like me, black. My school was a private school and it was really, really small. So I think it was about maybe 2,000 students. Yeah, so super small. To me, that still didn't stand out like, oh, I go to a private university and small, until I went to like other schools and saw like, gosh, there are a lot of students here. So that definitely made my experience, being that the school was really small. Class sizes were about maybe like 15 students. Very, very small class sizes. I think I realized that I was at an HBCU when we played a school. I think it was North Carolina, Charlotte, UNCC or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so we played at school and it was like all these white people there, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? What was also cool, I was a cheerleader. So I was a cheerleader at middle school and high school and in college. So all black cheerleaders, we didn't do stunts and stuff like that either. So from what I know, most historically black colleges, we were shaking and pumping. Doing splits. That was like our thing. And we would go to play other schools and they're doing like all these stunts and throwing each other in the air and stuff like that. So that's pretty much like my culture at the school. Of course, we were big on like having gym parties. That was like the thing. Going there also, so I didn't drink. I didn't do any of those things before going to the school. So like when I got to school, everybody was having these parties. It was like Thursday night, we're getting ready to go to the club. And I'm like, what is this? Everybody is getting dressed, drinking, smoking. So I'm like, you know what? These people are just like me from home. So that's kind of like my little experience.
Okay. Daryl, you want to go next?
For me, I went to PWI. I went to Jacksonville University. Shout out to those Dolphins. Hey, JU Dolphins, man. It's not like HBCU, obviously, but definitely it was some great times at Jacksonville University. I remember all the things that we done, but it was mostly because I played football, and those guys that you build on that football team made that experience live. And then plus the diversity of the school. I love that, the fact that I had a friend that was Asian, I had a friend that was white, I had a black friend. I could just jump around these different circles as far as who I wanted to hang out with. So it kind of gave me that ability to be versatile, like to know how to float around and get myself engulfed with different ethnicities. So I learned a lot going there, not just educational wise, but just about the people in general. I learned Jacksonville is pretty crazy if you haven't heard, but Hey, but as much trash as I talk about Jacksonville, I love going back up there and really reliving those college experiences. So.
Gotcha, and I'll make mine quick. So I went to Winthrop from undergrad, and that's up in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And then also I went to Clemson for my master's degree, you know, the reigning national champs in football. And and to be honest, like it's little things like that why I decided to go to a big school like Clemson. You know, I know they had a historic football program, but also us all being in the mental health profession, we know how important it is to have those K-CREP accredited schools or to attend those K-CREP accredited schools. And fortunately for me, Clemson had that. But I tell you what, like going to Clemson, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, just the camaraderie. I mean, it's cool being at a PWI because, you know, you see things that you're not, you know, used to seeing and being in circles that you're not used to being in. But also it's kind of, you kind of get that isolation feeling, you know. Like I used to take the bus from the parking lot to my class, and that's like maybe a 15-minute commute. And during that 15 minutes, I wouldn't see not one black person, especially no black males, you know. The only ones I would see is probably like a Deshaun Watson or somebody like that if you follow football. So, yep, that's kind of like my experience real quick. Boy, stop.
I went to Florida International University, or FIU, in Miami, Florida. And the reason I chose FIU is because I did a dual enrollment program with the community college because Bright Futures covered 100% of community college. I was thinking about going to an HBCU. However, FAMU would have been the only HBCU that I would go to in the state of Florida. And going into my junior year of high school, there were talks and rumors about FAMU losing their accreditation. So I'm like, I don't want to go to a school and it not be credited. But I know, Daryl, you are interested in going to an HBCU for your doctorates. Can you tell us why you want to go there?
Well, I'm interested because obviously I went to JU for my undergrad. There I found a little bit more of myself, and then I went to Barry University down here in Miami for my master's, and so that just brought out a different feel. But I always felt like I was missing one aspect of it. I think it was the black culture experience, and it's not just through college; it's all through my entire life, just growing up. But the thing was that I wanted to kind of see what that lifestyle be. Of course, it's going to be a little bit different now that I'm in my going for my PhD. But I think this time around, I'm more mature. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't have been able to last in like a FAMU or a Bethune-Cookman type of setting, based on where I was at, because I was pretty much going with the wind type of guy.
Like that maturity.
Yeah, I didn't have that self-control, but Jacksonville gave me that self-control. Barry gave me that fire, what I wanted to be, and I feel like Howard University is going to give me that other aspect of this is who you really are underneath, so that I can carry that into all my other aspects of my profession. And so I'm really looking forward, and ain't nothing like going to the Mecca. And when I went there and visited the college and the university, it was just nothing but all I felt was history, and I just felt
Chocolate City.
and you know, and I felt like this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be as far as moving in my next phase of life.
So being immersed in that culture and that camaraderie, I don't even know how to say it.
Camaraderie. Yeah. So I tell you, so I went to a PWI for both my institutions. My undergrad was a lot more diverse, similar to FAU, one of the most diverse schools in the country. But one thing that I truly did miss was that camaraderie that you get at a HBCU, and I would see that through watching shows like A Different World or whatever. I think everyone in our community can relate to watching shows like A Different World, and just seeing like that relationship between like Dwayne and his boy, I forgot his name, Ron, and things like that, and you know, seeing, you know, the fraternities, man, even Daryl, you're a Kappa, so maybe you can attest to this, but yeah, the Chevys. But like even just seeing like the fraternities, I feel like at an HBCU they were a little bit more like out there, a little bit more like extravagant. You know, it's beautiful, exactly. And I remember seeing that when I went to my brother's graduation at South Carolina State, which is an HBCU. And man, when I seen those Omegas, the Alphas, the Kappas cross the stage, I mean, just seeing like their celebration is just so like welcoming, but also like nice to see. And I feel like, dang, like that's one thing that I did miss. I miss being around my culture, being around people that look like me, but specifically even seeing professors that look like me. And I even looked into some statistics that said that blacks who went to a HBCU, they felt like their teachers cared more about them. They felt more supported by those teachers because they are black or are their same color. And we see that even in our therapeutic setting, you know, having someone that you can relate to is half the battle in a lot of those cases. So that's something that I did miss going to a PWI for both my stints in school.
I think I missed that too because growing up in Miami and going to school in Miami, there's a huge Hispanic population. So when I was going to the library while other people were having Dunkin' Donuts, I was having cafecito and cortaditos because that was just the school that I went to. So I missed out on having that culture around me.
I want to touch on what you were saying about the cafecito and all that stuff. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I love one of the things that I like, and I mentioned, which I touched upon a little bit, is the diversity. And so, like when you say that the fraternity life on HBCUs are so live and spirited, I would slightly say it mostly has to be the people around you. You can't be you can't join a fraternity, but if your views and your values are not in line with or coincides with some of the members of that fraternity, then the idea or the perception that you have of that fraternity may change. For me, what made me get involved in fraternity is that my mom is a Delta. Shout out to the Deltas. I love some Deltas. And so she was always grooming me as a young child, and I did not know that she was grooming me. She would have these elephants around the house, and we would break the legs of the elephants, and we would glue them together.
Evil.
Sorry, Mom, but and I think they still broke to this day. She doesn't know until she watches this, but we would do that, and she would tell us that we always programming us, got to go to college, got to join a fraternity. The fraternity is going to be the best thing in your life, And so even when we got to college, join a fraternity. And so when I started to pledge, I was going to go with the Qs, and then I realized that the Qs that I went to, I went to their interest meeting, and I was like, nah, this is not me. So I knew one of the Kappas, and I literally said, hey, let me join y'all. And he's like, all right. And next thing you know, I'm a Kappa.
You're shimmying.
And it was the best experience of my life, because what they did was they allowed me to see who I was. They taught me that Kappa didn't make me, I made Kappa what it is. And so they always taught me, man first, you don't gotta go around wearing paraphernalia or anything like that. You be you. You don't gotta, there is no stereotype, there is no boundary. So it kind of set that tone for where I'm at now, as being who I am and setting that boundary. Like, be you. It doesn't matter. You don't need to. Well, you don't need to dress like a Kappa to be a Kappa. Like whatever that is. And so they set that cornerstone for me, and for a long time people thought I was cute. Going through school. Now people look at me because I'm in professional where I gotta keep dressing up. Yeah. They're like, oh, you a Kappa. so that's my experience. What about for you?
Well, I would say, let me first mention this. So I'm like a first generational student. So going to college, in my family or in my house, that wasn't really, talked about, or I wasn't really groomed for that like you were growing up. So I think that it was like my senior year of high school, and I just heard all of like my friends talking about, I'm applying to college. So I'm like, well, maybe I should apply to college. I wasn't thinking about going to college, and so I applied to a few schools. They all were HBCUs. I think one community college, but then I'm like, no, I don't want to go to community college. Community college was kind of like looked down upon with my group of friends. And so like going and pledging and stuff, I didn't really know what that was until I got to school and I would just see people hopping. I remember one time, listen, I remember, this is how off I was. I remember seeing the AKAs, and no, I'm not a K, like doing whatever they did, and I like ran in their line and started like doing whatever they did at a gym party. This is how like out there I was. So, yes, I had to have a friend come yank me because I'm like, oh, this looks so sweet. They look so cool. So I was a cheerleader, like I mentioned, so I think I was kind of like scoped out already. So I would say I was on a line. I won't say for what sorority. There was a lot of hazing going on. Our line ended up getting dropped. I was to blame. Someone said that a parent called the university and complained that they were getting hazed. I'm like, my grandmother would not call the school, and she would not call the school. So I had that opportunity, but honestly, I'm glad that dropped because, I don't really know your process, but like going through some of the things that we did go through, that wasn't called for. So, but being a cheerleader, that was like an organization, that was like a little sorority in itself. So I can say I'm definitely glad I had that experience.
So we'll come back right after this. So in talking about HBCUs versus PWIs, not all of us had the opportunity to get our student loans paid off like Robert F. Smith did to those Morehouse graduates. 396 graduates. Robert, look out for your girl. So I was looking up and doing research, and I found out that HBCUs are $6,600 cheaper than PWIs overall, their average. However, PWIs have more opportunities for grants and scholarships. Tony, you went to both public and private school. What was that experience like with student loans?
Well, actually, both the schools I went to, all the schools are private. I believe Nova's private. Yeah. So, yes, no. I wish I made that. Oh, Nova took it to the head. Nova took it to the head. Like, I don't even know where to start. I wish I went to a public school. But again, lack of education, not really knowing what's out there. Again, coming from a household or home where I am a first generation of students, they didn't know about loans. So I went to 3 private schools, including the one I'm in now. So Smith, my undergrad. Then I went to Berry for my master's, and now I'm getting my doctor's degree. I honestly, if I had to be just truthful and 100 with you guys, I don't think I started paying attention to loans, scholarships until I got to like my master's program. In undergrad, the only thing I cared about is I get to go, I was validated, I can go to register for my class, I may get a little $1,000 refund check. The refund checks, like what? I was on. So scholarships and things like that, I wasn't educated on it, which is really horrible. I'm not going to say that HBCUs don't educate students on, like, listen, you can apply for this grant. This is, you can apply for this scholarship. It wasn't until, like, my senior year, actually, I think I got my first scholarship, and I think it was because I think I ran out of financial aid funds or something like that, and so I told them, like, listen, I'm a ward of the court, so I kind of been taking care of myself, and they found a way to get me this grant, and I'm like, gosh, where were you guys 4 years ago? So, and then by the time I got to Berry, all I knew was, okay, in order to continue to school, I need to apply for loans. So at that point, I didn't really ask for grants or scholarships and like that. So I kind of blame myself. You don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. And so I do say I went through AmeriCorps, which is a really awesome program. And A shout out AmeriCorps. Again, they had given me a grant. Like if you finish the program after a year, they give you like a $5,000 grant or something to go towards your tuition. But I think it's about just being educated. Now here I am. I'm not even gonna tell you guys how much my loans.
No.
Listen, by the grace of Morehouse. What's his name?
Robert.
Help me. Listen, I'm a mental health professional. Come on, do it for the culture. My loans is out of this world. And I'm just thinking gosh, now I have to think about what kind of jobs I'm going to commit to. They have programs you can work, if you do nonprofit for a certain amount of times, they'll forgive your loans. But exactly. So now where I am, these are things like coming to the end where after a doctorate, there ain't no more school. So now I got to figure out gosh, and now I think I'm really kind of stressed. Gosh, how are you going to pay all these loans back? I wish I was educated, and I would really recommend people before going to college or parents educate your kids on these student loans are no joke.
Yeah, and to go off that, so again, me as a school counselor, there's a couple of websites that I know about that can help with students like you or students that are out there watching this, whether you're in your master's, your doctorate, or simply in high school about to graduate. So one scholarship for PhD students, especially if you're black, it's called the McKnight Scholarship, okay? If you look that up. So yeah, because I was thinking about getting my PhD. Matter of fact, Daryl, you should look this up. So the McKnight... I don't know. That's a good question. But the McKnight Scholarship, you can apply for it. Basically, they'll give you $17,000 towards your tuition, but also they'll give you a $5,000 stipend for each semester. And I think during that time you have to do kind of like a GA position or something like that. But basically, they'll pay for all of your schooling. So that's one scholarship for PhD students. I know me specifically at Winthrop, I didn't have the scholarship, but I heard about it. It's called the McNair Scholarship, and that's for students who are from underrepresented communities, maybe first-generation students, so on and so forth. And that's, I want to say, about a $3,000 or $4,000 scholarship for each semester that you're at Winthrop University. So basically, there's a common theme, as you can see. If you're black, a person of color, and you're trying to get those advanced degrees, there are scholarships out there to get those. And just to give you some websites to check out, if you are in high school, Naviance is a great website, especially if you're here in Broward County. But that program is across the nation. All right, so Naviance, check that out. Talk to your school counselors. But also FastWeb, and that's a website that all of us can look up. And basically, it'll kind of match you towards the scholarship that you're be better to fitted for. So if you're a ward of a state, you're African American female, you're looking for a mental health degree, it'll say, okay, this is the perfect scholarship for you, and you have a good chance of getting that. So that's really it for that segment, but we'll get back to you guys right after this.
Interesting conversation I had with this lady that I call my second mother. She kind of mentored me as I was growing up, and so a lot of my ideas come from her and also my own mom as well. And so you can see some things in resemblance. And we got into an argument, not an argument, but we got into a nice little debate as far as why HBCUs tend to struggle over PWIs. And so one thing that was made aware is that at PWIs, the alumni actually donates a substantial amount of money, and you would know this as gifts, donations, or endowments. And so, but at HBCUs, we don't, as black people of color, we typically don't donate back to our schools. And so we were making that argument as far as like if we donated more to our HBCUs, we would be able to keep them afloat, because a certain amount of, when you donate money, especially if you donate large amounts like my man from Morehouse did and paying the student loans, if he donated that much, if he donated that amount to the school, half what he can done is done. Half of that would have went to the school, other half would have been for like things for the future, so that future students who are not here yet would be able to still attend the school and receive the same, or if not better, education that that the school can provide. And so I think we need to start taking a look at ourselves and seeing where is our money going back to, and is our money going towards those things that we value the most? So I see a lot of times that you got the alumni going back at it at these concerts and these events, but then sometimes you gotta stop and think, how much are these people really investing back into their school? Like, we can rep all day, but they say put your money where your mouth is. You can say Rattlers and do the Rattlers sign, or you could do Howard HU. I've been practicing. Yes, I have. And so we gotta start realizing that if we want to uplift our HBCUs, especially through the era that is going in right now, with a lot of funding being cut, we need to be able to have that backing like they do at PWIs, man. You could go to UF right now, man. They not only talk they smack, but they back it up too. That's why I'll hate on UF, but I can never really hate on UF because they are supporters, diehard supporters to the end.
I mean, a lot of PWIs, and I don't think, and this is kind of a little off, but it's not just that we don't give back to our HBCUs. We don't really support our businesses anyway, and I mean, that's a whole nother topic. We don't put money back in our communities all the way. And I am an alumni of a HBCU, and I am guilty of not giving back to my school. Why? One, because I think that it just didn't come across. I think some of us think going back to homecomings, we really quick to go to homecomings every October. I'm going to be there this year, though.
I'll be at Howard.
No, that's a lit homecoming. One of the best homecomings I ever... Yes, that's the best homecoming I've ever been to in my life, Howard's. But yeah, we go back to homecoming and spend all this frivolous money on just drinks and to see, our colleagues, which is all good. It's all love. But we really, really got to start giving back to our universities and it's just our communities, just period. Yeah.
I hope that with the whole thing at Morehouse, it kind of started a trend, because that's something that has never been done throughout, whether it's a HBCU, PWI, private, public, whatever it is. And my mind said when you were talking, Daryl, hopefully what he's done is alleviated some of that pressure of the student loans for a lot of those graduates. So now maybe one, if not maybe two of those people in that graduating class can do what he did for maybe another school. And I know that's a tall task. He doesn't have to cover the whole debt, but maybe they give out like an annual scholarship or something of that case.
Yeah, well, we can't have people just throw out dumps of money like that, because that does not solve the problem. Yes, why it was a good thing, we got to look at the longevity of the scheme. We got to look for the long haul. And I think that's what PWIs do the best, is that they're looking at the long haul. They're not looking at right now. We're looking at the end. We don't want to look at right now. So yeah.
Okay, so that takes us to our next break. Be sure to come back and check us out.
Welcome back to Scope of Color podcast. I hope you guys got a few things out of it. Some of the things I learned is that there's so much culture and camaraderie on an HBCU campus. And although an HBCU campus is almost $7,000 cheaper average, there are more scholarships and grants and opportunities at PWIs. We also talked about just loans and how to tackle the loans and how to get different scholarships and grants for people of color.
And this is not to discourage anyone from going to PWIs, because listen, they're great PWIs too. I do want to just notate that. But listen, we could go on with this conversation for hours. It's so much to talk about. We didn't even talk about going into the classrooms, of being in a classroom with Black instructors versus an Asian instructors, things like that. But anyhow, we may have to do a part 2, maybe not. So you guys can check us out on YouTube, Scope of Color, or you can check us out, you can check us out on Instagram. That's Scope of Color with a U.
All right. This is your boy Phillip Wells checking in and checking out. You can follow me at Wells_Phillip.
And this is Courtney, and you can follow me at Therapy Made Me Do It on Instagram and Facebook.
And this is Tony again. You can follow me at Seeking Solutions of South Florida on Instagram, or you can do my website, www.seekingsolutionsofsf.com.
And I'm Daryl Campbell, and you can follow me on IG at IN_credible with a K, or on my Facebook, Daryl Campbell. Follow us.